This is the Backscatter. It's a Scout Primary released in 2014's Love and War update. It's a pretty simple weapon. It has 2 less shots in the clip and is 20% less accurate compared to the stock scattergun. And in return, if you shoot somebody from behind, you deal mini crit damage, which is, pretty cool. Seriously though, is there a lore reason as to why this weapon has a giant pair of nuts? Anyway, this weapon has always been in a very weird position, because even though it has a very obvious gimmick, you shoot somebody from behind and you deal more damage, I never see any scout using this weapon. And I'm not just saying that. I did a field test and joined 2 casual servers, and of the 3 scouts that I saw, none of them had the Backscatter equipped. And even when I did ask them to, well then, if this weapon is so bad it turns people racist, I need to know why. So I'll go ahead and use it and try to see if I get cured of my racism. Not only that, but I've set up a little challenge for myself. I went ahead and bought a strange Backscatter, and throughout the course of this video, I'm going to try to get 2 kills with it. So let's begin. So let's start off with the good. This weapon isn't horrendously bad. Great. With some other weapons like the Brass Beast and the Thompson, you immediately realize why they're never used. But the Backscatter isn't irredeemable. You can pretty much do everything a normal scout can do. You can still win 1v1s, you can still get important picks, and also you can miss every single one of your shots, even when the enemy isn't even looking at you, and they're right in front of you, dude! What was that? And the downsides aren't even that bad. Sure, you might be missing 2 shots from your clip, and it's a little less accurate. But in return, you deal mini crits from behind.
The enemy.
LOL! 141 damage. Now you can kill 4 of the 9 classes in one shot, and the other 5 become pretty easy kills as well. And all you have to do is flank the enemy from behind and catch them off guard, which is already something you should be doing as Scout if you want to be effective. But even then, some argue that the Backscatter is a straight downgrade from stock, because you're trading 2 shots that deal 102 damage for 1 shot that only deals 40 more damage. And then after that, well, they turn around. And you know what? You're right. In that one situation, the Backscatter is a straight downgrade from stock. But think about this. Turning around has never happened in a game of Team Fortress 2, ever. Maybe it's because you're already fighting somebody else. Or maybe it's because you didn't even realize the damage was coming from behind you. Or maybe you're just dumb.
The enemy has dropped our intelligence.
All I know is, you can kill multiple people at once, sometimes without them even realizing you're there. Almost like a spy's chain stab in a sense. So yeah, as long as the enemy doesn't turn around, this weapon is objectively better than stock, since the max damage of a full clip is 568. Compare that to the puny scattergun, where a full clip at max damage will only deal... Shit. So obviously that was just a joke, because there actually is a situation where the Backscatter is objectively better than stock. Let's say you managed to one-shot 4 light classes in a row using the Backscatter's mini crits. If you tried to do the same exact thing with stock, it would take you 8 shots instead of 4. So if you're ever in a situation where there's 4 light classes standing right next to each other and they're not turning around... Oh god. Alright, there's a very obvious reason why the Backscatter is so underwhelming. It's the fact that even if I showed you a Lay Epic Frag compilation where I get a huge kill streak, and I completely humiliate the other team, and I'm recording this in a hot car. I don't know how to turn the child safety locks off. I'm gonna die. Even if I did all of that, I could have done the exact same thing using the scattergun, but probably even better. And that's the main problem. Whenever I was recording footage for this video, there were some times where the mini crits helped out, and overall the downsides of this weapon aren't that bad, but I would rather use the stock scattergun because it's better in almost every single way. Again, this weapon is not bad. It just makes Scout better at something he's already amazing at, while giving him downsides that make him slightly less effective at everything else. The problem, though, is that by everything else, I mean everything else, including what this weapon is designed to do: flanking enemies from behind. For example, let's say you kill a soldier in 2 shots using the Backscatter. That's great, sure, but if you use stock, you can still kill a soldier in 2 shots, and even if you use 3 or 4 instead, you're still left with the same amount of shots the Backscatter would have. So what's even the point? All I'm saying is, the only reason why someone would have a Hail Zone Backscatter is because they're hoping someone sees it, and then that person goes in chat and types something like,
"What the freak? This guy has a Hail Zone Backscatter! What the freak? What the freak? What the freak?"
But let's stop bullying this stupid dumb weapon that no one likes. Let's imagine this. Valve releases the Backscatter update, an update that tries to make this weapon better, or at least more commonly used. How do they fix it? How about removing the clip size penalty? It's too big a downside for an upside that is not very worth it. No, that would make it a better scattergun. The accuracy penalty isn't that big of a deal for it to be the only downside. How about instead of an accuracy penalty, it's an accuracy buff? I mean, that would be nice, but the clip size penalty will always make it inferior to the scattergun. Okay, I'll think outside the box. How about keeping the accuracy penalty, and you take mini crits if you're hit from behind as well? This is actually a pretty creative idea, but it's actually really bad. Imagine being killed by 1 grenade or 1 rocket that you didn't even see. It would be extremely annoying, and it would most likely be very buggy as well. Alright then, how about this? You deal full critical hits from behind. No. You deal mini crits from the front. No. Alt fire. Share your Backscatter with a friend. LOL! And before this video's over, I do want to talk about the secondaries, which I totally glossed over this entire time. So I'll go ahead and talk about each one, which ones are good, which ones are bad, and that'll be it. The pistols are the most reliable options. They're good for finishing off enemies or peppering them from far away. Sometimes you shoot somebody with 4 Backscatter shots and they still don't die, but you know they're low. That's when the pistol becomes an absolute godsend. Also, the best pistol is obviously the stock, and then the pretty boys, and the winger is also there. The Mad Milk is an amazing defensive weapon. If you're somewhat good with your shots, this makes any 1v1 instantly unlosable. It's also an amazing support tool. Throw this thing during a push, and it makes your team much more sustainable. But having your Backscatter as your only source of damage cripples you pretty badly, and it may be harder for you to finish opponents off if you're not good with your shots. This isn't a very good option. The cleaver is better at starting fights, but worse at finishing them. You'll probably want to start battles using your mini crits instead of your cleaver. And unlike the pistol, which gives you multiple shots to finish enemies off, the cleaver only gives you 1. So it's pretty hit or miss. Yo. If you can't get behind because there's a sentry in your way, use this.
It's also pretty good for spawn camping if you like trolling. So pretty simple. Also, I couldn't get 2 kills with the Backscatter. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.